Well, good day again, everyone. What a wonderful treat to come back from my trip from Turkey, Greece, and Rome to this great Women's Day celebration. You know, speaking of deserving it, experts say that it's good for the pastor to take a couple of weeks away from the parish. You see, because if he's a good shepherd, then he deserves the time away. Of course, if he's not a good shepherd, then you all deserve his time away. This weekend, in addition to being Women's Day weekend, is also what we call Good Shepherd weekend. And the image of the Good Shepherd we hear about in today's gospel, we hear about in other places in the Bible as well. You know, the image of the Good Shepherd was initially applied to God. When in the 23rd Psalm that we had today, when we say, "The Lord is my shepherd," the Lord is a reference to God, not to Jesus, as many Christians understandably believe. The prophet Isaiah tells us that God is like a shepherd who feeds his flock, gathering the lambs into his arms and leading them with care. There were important characters in the Bible who were shepherds. Jacob, Moses, and King David were all shepherds at one time in their lives. So that by the time Jesus started talking about the Good Shepherd, the people would have been very familiar with that image. The passage that we hear today from John's Gospel is part of a discourse in which ultimately Jesus will declare that he is the Good Shepherd. Now, right off the bat, we should get something straight. Many modern Christians do not like the image of the shepherd and the sheep because they don't like being compared to sheep who are not known for their intellectual prowess. But the image of the Good Shepherd is not about the sheep. It's about the shepherd. When Jesus refers to himself as the Good Shepherd, he's talking about how he cares for those who are entrusted to him. And in this portion of the passage, Jesus contrasts how a good shepherd cares for the sheep and with how thieves and robbers treat them. Thieves and robbers come to steal and slaughter and destroy the sheep, to use the sheep as a means for their own selfish ends. But Jesus comes to give the sheep life and to give it abundantly. Now, when Jesus likens himself to the gate of the sheepfold, he expands the shepherd imagery to those who will later be trusted with the care of the sheep. Those who enter the sheepfold through the gate, which is Jesus himself, are the disciples of Jesus, those who can be trusted to bring life to the sheep as Jesus does. While those who climb over the sheepfold and try to bypass Jesus are thieves and robbers who cannot be trusted. And so it's all of these imageries that the church uses today on Good Shepherd Sunday that it also establishes today as the World Day of Prayer for Vocations. It's a time to pray that God will raise up from among us men and women to serve as priests and religious leaders in our church. And so the model of the Good Shepherd serves as a model for religious leadership. Now, one of the things that became obvious to me during my St. Paul trip was that the early Christians did not organize themselves around hierarchy and power and authority. You see, for the first 300 years, Christianity was a persecuted religion. And Christians had to gather secretly in people's homes to support one another in their faith and to protect each other from the hostile world around them. They organized themselves around love, not power. In the 2nd century, Tertullian famously said, "See how these Christians love each other, and how they are ready to die for one another." It was only once Christianity became an accepted religion in the 4th century that the church began to adopt the hierarchical structure of the empire. And while the typical hierarchy works from the top down, with the idea that the lower level is subservient to the higher level, Jesus' model of leadership flips that idea on its head, so that the lower level is supposed to be served by the higher level. So, under that model, the bishops are supposed to serve the pastors. Yeah, I'm not holding my breath either. And the pastors are supposed to serve their parishioners. You gonna giggle on that one? But always ensuring that the flow of energy is focused on the people, on the faithful. And you know, that idea of servant leadership can apply in our secular world if we want to bring Christian principles to our work. Doctors are supposed to serve their patients, lawyers their clients, teachers their students, merchants their customers, employers their employees, and yes, even at home, parents their children. Yet if we're honest with each other, there are times that doctors and lawyers, teachers, merchants, employers, and parents forget that they are to serve those who are entrusted to their care, instead of treating them, as they sometimes do, as a means to an end that benefits the leader. When we treat people that way, then we are no better than thieves and robbers that Jesus talks about today. Those who use others as a means for their own self-interest. As we celebrate the women of our parish this weekend, and as we reflect on their gifts of love and service to our parish family, the image of the Good Shepherd is a wonderful reminder of what true servant leadership can be. When women sacrifice so much for the welfare of our children and families, what better model could there be for us? When women give of themselves so completely for our good, what better image of the Good Shepherd could there possibly be? Jesus challenges us to exercise leadership as good shepherds, To realize that ultimately we are here to serve the needs of those whom we lead, not the other way around. And to realize that, like Jesus, the Good Shepherd, we are here to bring others life, and to bring them life in abundance. Amen.